Well chaps, here we go. It's week 46, the final weekend of the championship, and we're here to predict all of the action. I don't know if it's just me, but this season feels like it's absolutely flown by in record pace, especially compared to some of the previous years in the championship. But it's been great fun this year, and there's still loads to play for going into the final weekend. I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below. How do you see all of these matches unfolding? There are a few dead rubbers in here, but there are at least 7 matches coming up this weekend which still have something. There are a few dead rubbers in there, but there are at least 7 matches coming up this weekend that still has something on the line, whether that's promotion or relegation. Without any further ado, let's jump in. Starting out with a massive game at St Andrews, it's Birmingham going up against Norwich. Birmingham knowing they need a win for survival here. Even that might not be enough if all of the results go against them, but with a packed out St Andrews crowd behind them, this presents an interesting opportunity for Blues. Now, I am a lot more confident that they'll be up for this game because this game is at St Andrews. Their record on the road all season has been really poor. Only Rotherham have picked up fewer points in away matches this season than Birmingham have. But generally speaking, at St Andrews, they've not always been an easy customer for the opposition. They've picked up big wins recently at home against the likes of Preston and Coventry. Can they go one further and get a result against Norwich here? Well, the mentality of Norwich will be quite interesting coming into this one. Back-to-back draws for the Canaries, both at Carrow Road, where they have been generally quite strong all season. They now come into this game knowing that their spot in the top 6 is almost guaranteed. A point in this game would definitely secure their place in the top 6, but even if Norwich lost this game, it's still more than likely that they will end up in the playoffs. There'd need to be a goal difference swing of 7 goals on the final day between them and Hull if Hull were to overtake Norwich. And while that certainly can happen, we have seen wilder things happen in the Championship previously, I'm not sure that'll be the case here. That mentality between both sides, I do think could have quite a substantial impact on this match. The fact that Norwich players will come into this game knowing that a loss isn't the end of the world for them. They'll still probably be in the playoffs, whereas Birmingham come into this game knowing that they absolutely need all 3 points. I've just got a sneaking feeling that maybe Blues will be a little bit more up for this game. I think the fact that Birmingham have been in this position before, where they've been playing for championship survival on the final day of the season, it feels like that fan base has been through all of these emotions before. Maybe not this same group of players, but to me, all of that plays into this somehow. Of the sides who could still go down, Birmingham are the bookies' favourites for relegation, but for me personally, score prediction in this match, I've just got a gut feeling Blues pull something out of the bag here. I'm going to go for a slim margin of victory, 1-0 Birmingham. We'll wait and see if that's enough to stay up. Next up, we'll jump over to the Hawthorns for West Brom up against Preston. West Brom in need of a point here to go ahead and secure their spot into the top 6. Obviously, they do have Hull hovering over their shoulders at the moment, and there has been an obvious drop-off in form from the Baggies in recent weeks. It's now just 1 win in their last 6 championship matches, and that win coming against already relegated Rotherham. All that being said, I do think this is quite a kind matchup for West Brom, going into a game which could be a little bit tense for the home side, especially if Preston do nick a goal early on in this game. Preston really don't have a lot about them at the moment. As shown on Monday night, it felt like a bit of a training exercise for Leicester in that game. North End offering up next to nothing in terms of attacking intent, and defensively looked really sloppy in that game as well. The wider picture for Preston as well is that we failed to score in 6 of our last 7 matches. Do I see that changing on the final day? I'm not so sure. I know that Hull fans want Preston to do them a favour in this game, but I'm not sure if it's coming, to be honest with you. Score prediction here, I'm saying 2-0 West Brom. I do think it'll be quite comfortable. Next up, we'll go to Swansea up against Millwall. One of the few games coming up this weekend which doesn't have anything riding on it whatsoever. Just 2 teams playing for pride here. And you know what? It's 2 sides coming into this one on a really good run of form. Swansea unbeaten in their last 4. Good point for them last time out against Norwich in quite an open game. Going up against the Millwall side who've won their last 4 matches. Really good run of form for Neil Harris's men of late. Feels like Swansea's good form of late has more been built upon getting that attacking identity and philosophy down, how they like to open up the pitch a little bit under Luke Williams, and Millwall's recent good run has more been built upon that solid defensive foundation, which has been drilled into them by Harris of late. Have a feeling this one will be won by 1 goal either way. Just got that gut feeling that with Swansea being the home side here, looking to end the season on a high, starting to create some more chances now as well. I'm going to go 2-1 Swansea in that game to finish off their season on a high point. Next then we'll go to the Stadium of Light for Sunderland up against Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday come into this fixture knowing that a point will guarantee their survival in the Championship. And what a position Wednesday find themselves in, given the state of affairs they were in at the end of the Xisco tenure. Absolute masterstroke that Danny Röhl has played over these last few months, and with survival in their own hands, let's face it, going into quite a favourable fixture on the final day against Sunderland as well. Sheffield Wednesday fans, I'm sure, will be right up for this game, as the players will as well. Sunderland not been conceding that many goals recently, but not been scoring many either. They've only hit the back of the net in 2 of their last 6 matches. Sheffield Wednesday with one of their performances of the season last time out against West Brom. I think they get the job done here. A point could be enough for them, but I've got a feeling Wednesday get all 3. Score prediction for me, going to go 2-0 Sheffield Wednesday in that match. After that, we'll go to Stoke up against Bristol City, a game which doesn't have anything riding on it coming into this weekend. 2 sides who are just looking to play with pride for this one. Sunderland fans, I'm sure, will be very relieved that they've got nothing to play for coming into the final weekend of this Championship season. A few weeks ago, it was a real possibility that they'd still be playing for Championship survival, but after putting together back-to-back wins in the Championship, that's no longer the case. Back-to-back clean sheets in those matches as well, which is worth picking out. A massive result for them last time against Southampton to guarantee their Championship survival. This one really could go either way. Have quite liked the look of Bristol City recently as it goes. Wouldn't be surprised if this one ends as a scoring draw. Score prediction for me in that game, going to go for a 1-1er. After that, we'll head to Rotherham up against Cardiff, a game which also doesn't have anything riding on it. Rotherham already knowing that their relegation to League One is confirmed, and Cardiff just looking to put as many points on the table as possible. Bit of a poor outing for Cardiff last time out. The last game in front of their home fans, losing it 4-1 against Middlesbrough. I'm sure Bullock will want to end the season on a bit of a higher note than that and leave their fans with something to take into next season. With Rotherham and Steve Evans, obviously it was a point for them last time at home against Birmingham, and do you know what? I fancy them for at least a goal in this game. Very much depends on how much each side is actually up for this one, with nothing really riding on it. Score prediction for me, I'd fancy Cardiff maybe to just bounce back. 2-1 Cardiff, I'm saying, in that game, but anything can happen in these dead rubbers. After that, to Home Park for Plymouth up against Hull City. Both sides coming into this one really needing all 3 points. If Hull want to stand any chance of making it into the top 6, they're going to need to win this game. And Plymouth, I think, will need all 3 points as well. I've got a sneaky feeling that Blues may get the job done against Norwich, which really could put the pressure on Plymouth in this game. I'm sure there'll be fans at both ends of the stadium constantly on their phones and checking the scores of other games in this one. And you know what? That could have a quite significant impact on how this game actually unfolds. If, for example, West Brom go a few goals up against Preston early doors, that may knock the wind out of Hull's sails a little bit. On the flip side of that, if Preston go 1-0 up against West Brom and Hull suddenly sense that their playoff mount is on once again, they really could put Plymouth to the sword here. Plymouth really have left themselves in a sticky situation with back-to-back losses in those 2 away matches they're coming off the back of. And you know what? I was so impressed with Hull last time out against Ipswich as well. A really lively end-to-end game of football with real quality at both ends of the pitch. If Hull maintain them same standards they did against Ipswich, and we see the same version of Plymouth that we have in the last 2 weeks, I've got a worrying feeling about Plymouth coming into this one. I really do. I know last time out against Home Park they pulled a result out of the bag against Leicester. Do I see that happening here though? I'm not so sure. Score prediction there, I'm going to go 3-1 Hull, which, if I'm right with the Birmingham result, would put Plymouth into the bottom 3 and would see them relegated. After that, to the Riverside for Middlesbrough up against Watford. Middlesbrough have been playing some really nice football of late. They've only lost one of their last 11 matches. Nothing to play for coming into this one, but have a feeling the home fans might at least be treated to an entertaining game here. With that being said, Watford won't be a complete walkover, while they've not got anything to play for either. Been on a decent run since Cleverley came in. It was a slim 1-0 win for Cleverley's boys last time out against Sunderland in their final home match of the season. Just feel like Borough maybe have a bit more attacking prowess about them at the moment. Score prediction in this one, going to go 2-1 Middlesbrough. Fancy them to end the season on a high note. Big game coming up at the King Power next. It's Leicester going up against Blackburn. Leicester already have the title sealed up, but they are playing for 100 points here. I'm sure that'll be a point tally that Enzo Maresca will be targeting, and Leicester will want to have that party atmosphere around the King Power for this one. They won't want to end the season on a loss, and I'm sure it will be that celebratory mood in and around the stadium here. With all that being said, Blackburn do have a job to do. They need at least a point from this fixture to guarantee their championship survival, or they will be relying on results from elsewhere. I've already said I do fancy Birmingham and Sheffield Wednesday to win this weekend. Now, if that was to happen and Plymouth were to lose as well, doesn't matter what happens in this game for Blackburn because Plymouth will be that side below them. But if Plymouth were able to pull a result out of the bag against Hull, suddenly that puts Blackburn in serious trouble coming into this fixture. While a point would be enough for Rovers, and we saw them go away to Ellen Road quite recently, put in a really disciplined and regimented performance and get all 3 points, I really think the outcome of this match depends on which version of Leicester shows up here. Are the players going to be a little bit jaded and hungover from their celebrations after Deepdale? Maybe. On the flip side of that, obviously Leicester had already secured promotion when they came to play Preston away on Monday night, and it was still a really professional performance from Enzo Maresca's men. They just played us around the pitch. We couldn't get out of our own half, and they had it quite easy in the end, really, and rested quite a few key players along the way who I'm sure will be wanting to play on the final weekend of the season as well. For me, score prediction here for me, I think Leicester take this one. I'm going to go 2-1 to the Foxes, which would put them onto 100 points, would leave Blackburn in it, but I've got a feeling at least one result will go Blackburn's way and they won't be relegated, although I think they might lose that match. Next then to Ellen Road for Leeds up against Southampton. Leeds, knowing they need all 3 points from this match, but even that likely won't be enough for automatic promotion. But hey, we've seen crazier things happen in years gone by in the Championship, and do you know what? I've just got something in the back of my mind that says it would be so typical of the run of form that Leeds have had recently if Huddersfield were to beat Ipswich, but then Leeds don't capitalise in their own fixture and they don't go ahead and beat Southampton. It's an interesting matchup by the way of the Saints not having anything to play for at this point. I'll be interested to see how strong Russell Martin actually goes for this one, because you could sort of see this fixture from both perspectives. From Southampton's point of view, on one side of things, I think they'll want to recapture at least a little bit of momentum before going into the playoffs. In saying that as well, he'll also want his first teamers to be as fresh as possible and won't want to come out of this match with any injuries or things like that. From a Leeds perspective, I think they just have to go for this one. Whatever happens at Portman Road, that'll be what will be. For Leeds, they probably know that the playoffs is their most likely destination, but like I say, we have seen crazier twists happening on the Championship final day in years gone by. It is also worth flagging up how impressive Leeds' record this season has been against the sides in the top half of the table. Generally speaking, a lot of their slip-ups this season have come against the sides a bit lower down. It was arguably their worst performance of the season last time out against QPR, but I reckon they will bounce back in this fixture. Reckon we could get a few goals at both ends. I'm going to go 3-2 Leeds in that one. Will it be enough for automatic promotion though? I'm not sure. Let's head to Portman Road next up, because it's Ipswich going up against Huddersfield. And after that fantastic performance from Ipswich in midweek, beating Coventry 2-1, Kieran McKenna's side need just 1 point from this fixture to secure Premier League football going into next season. It is the ideal situation that they find themselves in, up against pretty much an already relegated Huddersfield side. They'd need a ridiculous goal difference swing to go their way on the final day. if they want to avoid the drop, and I don't think anyone sees that happening. Huddersfield, I think the players, fans alike, are sort of already resigned to relegation. In saying that, I'm sure there will be quite a few nerves around Ipswich's ground, especially if this game is still level at half-time. I know that Ipswich only need a point to secure their promotion, but Huddersfield from a set piece or something like that, they can cause you a difficulty. And obviously it is worth flagging up, Ipswich haven't won any of their last 2 home matches. With all that being said, I do think there's been this relentlessness about Ipswich in their last 2 fixtures especially. I thought they played really well in both games against Hull and Coventry, and I do think they get the job done here, especially if they score early. Have a feeling the floodgates could open, as they have done a few times when Huddersfield have been in action. Score prediction for me here, I'm going to go 3-0 Ipswich. I do fancy them for quite a dominant showing there. And then rounding off this season with the final prediction, we've got Coventry going up against QPR. A dead rubber, but a game that should bring some entertainment factor. Obviously, Coventry in action in midweek against Ipswich. Maybe their fixture schedule has got to them a little bit recently because they've had so much football to play as a result of their run in the FA Cup. But really entertaining game against the Tractor Boys. Cov could have easily got a point from that one. Had some good chances going forward. Opened up the pitch quite well. QPR obviously no mugs though, arguably their best performance of the season last time out against Leeds United. Would fancy this one to be quite an open game of football, could see both teams getting on the score sheet. Think I'm edging towards a draw here. Score prediction for me, I'm going to go for a 1-1er. But there we have it guys, those are my championship predictions heading into the final weekend of action. So if all of my predictions were to be spot on, it would be Plymouth going down, Birmingham just leapfrogging them on the final day. It would also mean safety for the likes of Sheffield Wednesday and Blackburn Rovers. This set of predictions would also have Hull just missing out on the top 6. It would be Norwich finishing in 6th place, West Brom finishing in 5th, Southampton 4th, Leeds 3rd, Ipswich 2nd, and Leicester City top on 100 points. Make sure to drop your predictions in the comments down below. I'm sure it'll be a fascinating weekend of championship action. Thank you very much for watching the prediction videos all year long as well. It really is massively appreciated. This has been one of my favourite seasons to cover the championship. I think it's been bonkers at both ends. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.